when we say that God chose the Jewish people, what it implies is that it is not a reasonable, intelligent decision. It is not because Jews have a virtue or an advantage or something special, because if that were true, then it's not God's choice. It's simply reasonable. So, since it's before Purim, it would be appropriate to share a thought about Purim. And that is that we're told this very surprising thing, that Purim is such a special day that Yom Kippurim, Yom Kippur, is called a day like Purim. Yom Kippur, Kippurim. Yom Kippur is like Purim, but not quite as great as Purim. Of course, we say this only, we don't say this on Yom Kippur. We only say this on the days before Purim, when we're talking about the greatness of the holiday Purim. So it's a pretty dramatic statement to say that the holiest day of the year, Yom Kippur, is comparable, but not quite equal to Purim. So the commentaries tell us that there are certain similarities between Purim and Yom Kippur. The word Pur means lots, like flipping a coin or picking straws. So casting a lot, that's what the word Pur means. So why is the day called Purim? Because Haman, trying to determine when he should make the day of reckoning to pull off his evil plot, he was trying to figure out what would be the right day, the right month, and he couldn't decide. So he drew lots. He put the name of all the months on different pieces of paper, the day in the month on different pieces of paper, and he drew the lots, and it came out the 7th of Adar. And he was thrilled because that's the day that Moshe passed away. Little did he know that it's also the day that Moshe was born. But the holiday, the occasion is called Purim because of those lots that Haman drew. Question number 1, why would we name the holiday, meaning the celebration of the day, why would we name it after the lots that Haman used to make his plans, his evil plans? Doesn't seem appropriate to use his evil scheme as the name for the celebration. The whole point of the celebration is that his scheme didn't work. Number 2, where is the similarity to this casting of lots on Yom Kippur? Yom Kippur is a time for tshuva, for soul searching, taking an account of yourself and your behavior and gaining forgiveness and being cleansed of our sins. What does that have to do with choosing lots? So it turns out that one of the things that would happen on Yom Kippur is that there would be these 2 goats, same age, same size, very similar. One of them would be used in the temple, and the other one would be sent away into the desert to be killed. One carried the sins away into the desert, and one was a holiday offering. which one should be chosen for which task. They're very similar. So they used lots. They drew lots to determine which goat should go where. So you see that on Yom Kippur, there was also the use of lots. And that's why it's Kippurim. It is similar in that it also had lots. However, on Yom Kippur, the use of the lots was a detail. I wouldn't say a minor detail, but certainly not the theme of the day. Whereas on Purim, lots played a much more central role. So the real lots, which means Purim, is on the holiday called Purim. On Yom Kippur, there is also the choosing of lots or the casting, but that's not what the holiday is all about. So the Pur of Yom Kippur is only similar but not quite equal to the Pur of Purim. The next question is, Yom Kippur has another meaning, and that is forgiveness. Kapara. So Kippur also comes from the word kapara. So if the two holidays are related because there is a Pur in Yom Kippur similar to Purim, then there must also be forgiveness in Purim to make it similar to Yom Kippur. Because everything in Torah is absolutely perfectly matched and perfectly precise. So if you say that the two holidays are related, it's got to be related both ways. So where do we find on Purim that there was an element of forgiveness, even though that's not the main theme of the day? So here's the answer to all of the questions. You use lots when your intelligence can't help you. Like, for example, with the two goats. If one of them was healthier, better looking, more perfect, more impressive than the second, then of course, which one do you use to bring as a holiday offering? The better one. There's no doubt here. There's no decision that needs to be made. So when it's obvious, when there's an intelligent reason for doing something, then you don't need to draw lots. You don't need to flip a coin. You flip a coin when there's no decisive factor that would determine logically which way you should go or which one you should choose or what you should do. So what do lots mean? That you leave it up to a higher force, up to a higher source of information, that it should decide which way you should go. In other words, it's super rational. The way Hasidus puts it, intelligence has 50 gates. Human beings can handle 49 of the 50 gates, but the 50th gate is beyond reach. Moshe, on the last day of life on earth, reached the 50th rung, and that was like a gift from heaven. So what is the 50th gate? Super rational. The mind can't go there. So Haman was thinking, and he was no fool, Haman was thinking, how am I supposed to defeat the Jewish people? when they are holy and I'm not, they are good and I'm not, they are godly, I'm not. How do I start up with them? How do I even have a chance? And he understood that if you're looking at good and bad, right and wrong, better and worse, then I have no chance. But if I can go where it's super rational, where intelligence can't go, where reason can't go, where better and worse doesn't matter, where even good and bad doesn't matter, light and dark and all the other distinctions, where those things don't matter, bad guys can succeed. So he wanted to reach the 50th level, and from there, he would have a chance to defeat the Jewish people, even though he doesn't have a rational reason. In other words, rationally, it wouldn't be possible because the Jews were good and he was bad. Interestingly, that this is the reason that he built a gallows 50 cubits high. 50 cubits high. The average man is about 8 cubits, maybe less. Why would he need a 50 cubit gallows? Quite excessive. It's a disproportionate response. So the reason was because he wanted it to represent the 50th level where the rational mind doesn't work, even the divine mind. And from there, he could possibly defeat the Jewish people. So that's why he chose to determine the day by throwing lots, by choosing lots, because that represents the 50th gate. It's like admitting, I can't decide, I have no grounds on which to decide, because if I go by rational judgment, I don't have a chance. So I'll go to the highest level where the rational doesn't matter and is not impressive. There I have a chance. So he's happy that the lots came out on the 7th of Adar, the yahrzeit of Moshe Rabbeinu. Turns out that it's also the birthday of Moshe. What does that tell us? He thought the fact that Moshe passed away on this day is a sign that this is not a good time for the Jews. So that was encouraging to him. Had he known that this is also the birthday of Moshe Rabbeinu, he would have come to a different conclusion. The fact that Moshe was born on the same day as he passed away is a sign of his greatness, not of his failure. He lived 120 years, which is the perfect, fullest amount of years that a human being should have. And it was not a partial year, it was day to day. Perfect. The similarity to Yom Kippur, or let's first say the distinction between, the difference between Yom Kippur and Purim is that Yom Kippur, the main theme is right and wrong. In fact, you want to right what was wrong. You want to become better. You want to review your past year, make a rational account of how you behaved, come to a rational conclusion that it was not good enough, and then make rational New Year's resolutions for how you're going to be better. When we say that God chose the Jewish people. The concept of chosen, as I'm sure you already know, the concept of chosen, particularly free choice, doesn't mean that there are options and you have to pick one over the other. The idea of being chosen means there is a super-rational, pre-rational attraction that draws me to this thing, and so I choose it. Whereas if there was a rational reason, I'm not choosing, because if reason dictates that this one is better than the other one, then I have no choice. Intelligence dictates you choose the better one, the bigger one, the nicer one, the holier one, the one that has advantage. So to an intelligent being, when there's an intelligent reason to choose one thing over the other, then there really is no choice. So you are not free to choose. The decision has been made for you by the rational reason. The previous Rebbe writes that to a true Chacham, the reason, the intellectual conviction is more compelling than if you put a gun to his head. If he is threatened to die unless he behaves a certain way, you're not sure he's going to behave that way. He may choose to die. But if his conviction is that this is the way it ought to be, then there is no way he can do it otherwise. That's called a Chacham. He follows the dictates of reason and of intelligence without exception. If that's right, then that's how it's going to be. Can't be any other way. So where is the choice, actually? Certainly the freedom of choice. His intelligence gives him no freedom. When we say that God chose the Jewish people, what it implies is that it is not a reasonable, intelligent decision. It is not because Jews have a virtue or an advantage or something special, because if that were true, then it's not God's choice. It's simply reasonable. So what God is saying is, even when I'm not impressed with your intelligence, and you are a smart people, but even when I'm not impressed by that, and even when I'm not impressed by your loyalty, your devotion, your humility, your willingness to keep mitzvahs through thick and thin, all these impressive things, sometimes they don't matter to me. Even then, you're my choice. You're my people. You are mine, which means it's not you that makes me choose you. It's me. It's my choice, particularly if you're calling it free choice. Free choice means I don't need anything to decide for me whether I want you. I simply want you for no reason, because reasons interfere with my freedom of choice. Isn't that amazing? So it turns out that freedom of choice means there's no choice. Or freedom of choice means I don't need to make a choice. You're my people. There's nothing to talk about. Which is the biggest compliment of all. And that's why it can never change. Covenants, promises, it can never change, because if this is God's choice, then no reason in the world can change that. So when Haman came to Achashverosh, to the king, implying he said this to God, he said, there is one nation in your world, in your kingdom, in your under your sovereignty, they don't follow your laws. They're scattered all over the country. And it really doesn't pay for you to keep them. In other words, he was looking for a rational reason for God to abandon the Jews. When that didn't work, he resorted to the 50th level. So what does it mean? In some way, it's similar to a marriage. You get married because there are attractions. You find somebody that has the virtues you're looking for, that has the appealing features. You like their sense of humor, you like their style, you like their philosophy, you like their opinion of life. And so you marry them. But once you're married, the marriage changes all that, and you become each other's better half. So you belong to each other, and now all of those things, all those virtues, don't matter so much. Doesn't matter. You're mine. Like the expression used concerning marriage, for better or for worse. So what Haman did not know is that even where intelligence does not go, and he's right, Jews are not better. They're scattered, they don't do the king's laws. When we're not good, even on the 50th level, where reason doesn't go, Jews are still God's chosen. And when that is revealed, Jews are indestructible. So the miracle of Purim was that on that day, God's relationship to the Jew, which we thought was based on virtue, based on deservedness. We accepted God's Torah, the others did not. So we deserve, we're better, we're smarter, we're ahead of the game. We thought that that was what made us Jewish. We thought that that's what gave us a relationship with God. God loves virtuous people, so we're his virtuous people. What we discovered on Purim is that that's not so, which was really empowering to a people who had just been exiled from their promised land. They were worried about their survival. If you're thrown out of your land and your temple is destroyed, doesn't that mean that you no longer deserve? Does that mean you're no longer chosen? Does that mean that your relationship with God has been, if not completely destroyed, certainly diminished? Purim showed us for all time that that's not the case. Even if what Haman was saying was true, we are scattered, we don't get along, we don't follow the rules of the king. Does that mean we're not his children? Does that mean we're not his chosen? No, it doesn't mean that at all. So even in the 50th gate, where all virtue or lack of virtue does not matter, God chooses us. And choice is not based on virtue. Because if there's virtue, then what's the choice? Then the choice has already been made. So why is the holiday called Purim? It's because what Haman thought would help him using the lots, he thought lots is in his favor because there all our virtues are not going to help us. It turns out that there, in the super-rational, in the pre-rational relationship that God has with his people, there we are even stronger than when our relationship is based on virtue. I don't know if it's a very helpful analogy, but imagine someone comes to a father and says, your son is bad. He's bad. He's not good. He's a shlemazel. He has no talents. He has no virtue. He doesn't do anything good. Now, you can expect that the father would say, okay, so I'll disown him. But at the very same time, what you're doing to the father is you are reminding him very keenly, very sharply, that this is his son. And when he's reminded, this is my son, well then, good or bad, talented or not, you've just brought out the father in me, not the judge in me. So if I was judging my son, I would say, yeah, he's a failure, who needs him? But I'm not a judge, I'm a father. Now, being chosen is an even greater closeness, a greater bond than father and son. Because with father and son, although it seems like it's a totally unconditional commitment, an unconditional relationship, there is one big condition. Father and son. If you were someone else's son, I wouldn't put up with you for a minute. Only because you are my son, that makes a huge difference, and then your failings don't change the relationship at all. So, of course, you can't stop being my son, but at least theoretically, in principle, the only reason I still am bonded to you is because you are my son. So there is some condition and some rational justification for my loyalty. So it's not a pure choice on my part. Whereas when we say we are the chosen, that is a much deeper connection. It has no conditions whatsoever. It's purely God's inclination. It's coming strictly from him, not because of any external or secondary cause, reason, justification, etc. So that's why it's called Purim. If you enjoyed this conversation or this topic, and you're looking for more information, or you want to hear it again from another angle, there's a way to do that. And that is in this book. It's all there. Order it from Amazon. You can read it, reread it, and share it. I want to invite you to join us as VIPs, partners in our work, and join us also for a personal chat with other members of the VIP club. We talk about many things. There's an opportunity to ask, to respond, to make a comment, to meet the other supporters. And together we can really make a difference in Jewish life and in life in general. So join us. It's goodtoknow.org. Log in, call, make contact, and join us with the VIPs.